Hello friends, welcome to Study Spectrum in Rohit Sir ki class. Today we are going to discuss about biological diversity. What do we mean by biological diversity? Now, all we know when we talk about biology, we are talking about living things, right? Earth is the only planet where we have found the life. Mother Earth is our habitat. On this earth, whatever which is living thing, let it be plants, animals, anything which is living, that relates to biological. And what about diversity? Yes, we all know in this living world, all the living things, if we start comparing them, they exhibit a vast variety. They express themselves in different varieties. All this vast variety we found in the living things on this earth, that is called as a biological diversity. What is the prevalence of this biological diversity? What mass, what is the quantity of this biological diversity? Let's have a small look. When we talk about the living things, it starts from microorganisms or unicellular, one-cell organisms. Let it be unicellular plants like chlorella or unicellular organisms, animals, that is amoeba, paramecium, or maybe a higher complex living organisms like huge plants or huge animals, huge in size as well like elephants or maybe a whales. Starting from microorganisms to the huge animals and complex plants we are looking at, this living world exhibits a huge diversity, huge variety in many aspects. In their shape, sizes, what they eat, what they dwell on, what is their body structure, what are their body systems, how their living cycle goes on, what are their life cycles, what are their lifespans, for how many years that living organism lives. Even including the system which inherit the chromosomes, which transfer the chromosome from one generation to another. Starting from their body parts, body structure, their habitats, where they dwell, where they live, whatever they eat, all these aspects if we look at, there is a vast variety in living world. Even not I'm talking about starting from living microorganisms to the complex animals or huge plants, but even if we go to look at animals which belong to same class, still they exhibit a huge variety. Let's take an example of a class Pisces. Class Pisces include each and every fish alive on this earth. Now we all know fishes live in the water. So each and every living fish comes under the class Pisces. But in this class Pisces, all the aquatic animals, fishes are there. But if we look at them, they exhibit a huge variety. There are very small fishes, and there are giant whales, there are giant whales, sharks. I think the biggest mammal currently available on the earth in living organisms is a blue whale. Even it beats elephants and all other terrestrial animals when it comes to the size. So even if we look at the fishes, their sizes ranges from a huge variety. If we start looking at their habitats, few of these species of these fishes, those live in the sweet water. They are found in the rivers, they are found in the ponds. But few of the fishes, those are the marine fishes. They are found only in the oceans, they are found only in the salt water. If we start looking at their body structure, few of them are bony fishes. Their skeleton is made of bones, but few of them are cartilaginous fishes. their skeleton is made of cartilage. Those are not as tough as the bones. If we start looking at their body parts and their functions, few of the fishes use their tail fins only to swim, only to redirect their direction while swimming in the water. But few of them, they use their tail fins for their defense also. Few of the fishes, they produce electricity. Few of the fishes, those are translucent. Those are illuminations. Those create the light in the sea. So when we are talking about not the huge variety starting from microorganisms to the huge animals and plants, but even if we talk about a single class, we have taken the example of Pisces, which include each and every fish alive. Even in that class also, they exhibit a huge variety in their shape, their sizes, what they eat, where they dwell. This biodiversity, where it originates from? Actually, environment around us plays a very important factor for this biodiversity. This environment itself creates all this biodiversity. When we talk about a peculiar geographical area, in that geographical area, environment changes place to place. Even in due course of time, in the same geographical area, environments are different. At one point of the time, environment is totally different. At another point of time, that environment is totally different. So automatically, in the same geographical area, if we take a population of few living things, let it be plants or the animals, but still, due course of time or maybe at the different places in that geographical area, due to the different environments, different microorganisms, different animals, different plants have evolved. So in the same geographical area, we find a huge biodiversity just because of an environment. Let's talk about the same environment. Let's again take the example of fishes. Each and every fish only can dwell in the water, right? So the environment, aquatic environment, is same for each and every fish. But even if we talk about the same environment in different geographical areas, few of the fishes dwell in the ponds, few of the fishes dwell in the rivers, few of the fishes dwell in the ocean, and everywhere environment is an aquatic environment. There is only water around, but still marine fishes are different than those are found in the rivers in many aspects. So ultimately, when we talk about the biodiversity, geographical areas and different environments, those are the key reasons for this biodiversity. And that is the only reason why we found all this biodiversity on this earth. What is the importance of biodiversity? Why nature has created such a variety in living things? Have you ever thought about it? Actually, when we talk about the living world, this biodiversity itself becomes a very reason for existence of the living organisms. Let's consider if there would not have been any diversity, there would have been a very monotonous living world. I think the living things could not survive. Due to this biodiversity only, we get all our basic needs which we require for our living. Let it be food, let it be shelter. For human beings, it may be clothes. Whatever protection we need from the nature for continuing our lives, in case of each and every living organism, we get all those from all the natural resources, and those resources are produced and maintained just because of the biodiversity. So biodiversity itself becomes the very important reason for existence of the life on this earth. Without biodiversity, I think life cannot exist on this earth. What important role this biodiversity plays in existence of this environment? Let's have a look at it. let me give you a quick insight about the natural cycle of the life. How this cycle runs. There is a natural resource, soil, and another natural resource, water. There is a groundwater which is present there in the soil, and where the germination takes place in the seeds. From there, trees are grown, plants are grown. These plants we can call as a producers. They actually absorb the water as well as all the important nutrient ingredients from the soil through their roots, and they produce the food for other animals via chlorophotosynthesis. They use the sunlight, they use the chlorophyll pigments in their leaves. That is why leaves are green. That is why all plantation, all vegetation is green. Why? Because they contain chlorophyll, a green color pigment in those. So using that pigment, a sunlight, and all the water and micronutrients they absorb from the soil, using all this, plants create their own food, and also they create the food for rest of the world. So we can call plants a producer. Now let's think upon that there is a huge variety of plants itself, but plants is a producer. Now on plants, what class of animals dwell? Herbivores, or the herbivorous animals. I mean to say all the animals which actually feed on plants, which are vegetarian animals. For example, cow, buffaloes, goats, all these are herbivorous animals, right? So these herbivorous animals are living just because there are the producers available. There are the plants. If there would not have been any vegetation, these animals cannot survive. Automatically, those will die just because of starvation. They will not have anything to eat. So, because of the producer, we have herbivorous animals everywhere. Now let's think about the carnivorous animals. All the carnivorous animals, let it be tiger, let it be lion, let it be any other non-vegetarian animals, which actually dwell on all these herbivorous animals. There are the producers, plants. Because of the plants, there are the herbivorous animals. Without plants, herbivorous animals cannot live. Okay, so there are the plants, so there are the herbivorous animals. Now, because of there are herbivorous animals, there are carnivorous animals. These carnivorous animals dwell on all the herbivorous animals. If there are no plants, herbivorous animals will die due to starvation. Now there are no herbivorous animals whom these carnivorous animals will hunt. They will not have their food. So automatically all the carnivorous animals, all the predators will die of starvation because they do not have any prey. Now let's think about these carnivorous animals, these herbivorous animals, or all these plants. When they die, what happens with them? Their body gets decomposed, their body gets mixed with the soil again. That is why there is a beautiful saying that we arise from the soil, we go back to the soil. इसी मिट्टी में अपना जन्म हुआ था, इसी मिट्टी में वापस जाना है. इसका मतलब क्या है? When we die, when any animal, any plant die, automatically its body gets decomposed because our bodies are biodegradable. What brings upon this biodegradation? All the microorganisms which actually dwell on the dead bodies of all these plants and animals. Those bring upon this biodegradation, and again throughout the body all the micronutrients are separated and they go back to the soil. And now that soil is very much enriched with the nutrients which are important for the plants. So again, next generation of the plants take those nutrients, make the food for whole world, and herbivorous animals again dwell on those plants. Herbivorous animals are there, that is why there are carnivorous animals, and after death of all these, all the microorganisms, due to those microorganisms, those dwell on the herbivorous and carnivorous animals' dead bodies and the dead plants. Those microorganisms which dwell on all these, because of those microorganisms, again all the nutrients are released back in the soil. So this is a beautiful nature cycle of the life. So just think upon, even if a single element in this food cycle, in this food chain, if there is a single element missing, what would happen? Automatically another element dies of the starvation. And slowly, whole living organisms, whole living world dies. So biodiversity in itself becomes a very own reason for existing of the life itself. Every predator in the jungle, every predator in this living world is alive just because there is a prey to feed. If there is no prey, predator will not be survived. So, environment, geographical biodiversity, and because of all these elements, what diversity we found in the living world, that itself becomes the very own reason for existence of the life. This is what the importance of biodiversity. But what is happening with this biodiversity nowadays? It's depleting day by day, right? Why? What is the reason? Let's have a short discussion on this. Why this biodiversity is depleting day by day? The very important and the base cause of this is a huge exponential growth of population in humans. Due to this exponential growth of population, what happened is, let me give you an example. Human population has grown, so now we need a food. So automatically, what happens is, in the farming zone, if we look at the farms, there used to be a multi-crop farming system. In a single farm field, farmers used to grow all kinds of plants all together, which used to actually conserve the biodiversity. But nowadays, what is happening? Population has grown many folds. It needs the food. It needs the food grains. So what farmers have started doing? They have started doing single crop farming. They are only growing the food grains so that they can harvest as much as possible and they can sell it on the highest prices. So automatically from the farming zone, multi-crop farming has given its way to a single crop farming. So automatically in animal kingdom, this biodiversity has depleted automatically. Also, what are the zones for plant to show their biodiversity? Those are the jungles, those are the forests which were created through the nature way before we humans have been evolved on this earth. But due to the grown population, what we have started doing? We need a huge lands for civilization, for constructions, for industries. We need place for the farming. So we have started deforestation. We are cutting trees like anything. So we are destroying all those biodiversity rich zones. We are making all that geographical area wiped out all the biodiversity into it. So automatically, this is the main reason why biodiversity in the plant kingdom is going down. Same thing happens with the animal kingdom also. All the hybrid breeds, all the imported breeds which are needed for day-to-day life, for the food, let it be cows from which we get milk, or let it be chickens, goats. All the hybrid and imported breeds have replaced our local breeds. So automatically, biodiversity in the animal kingdom also is getting depleted day by day. What happens next? This is about the food crops, or this is about the animals we need on a day-to-day life. But there is another reason. With the increase in population of humans, we have started needing more and more things out of our greed. So we have started cutting a specific kind of trees more. For example, sandalwood. Sandal is a scented wood, right? and we need it for the perfumes, for our cosmetics, for a medicinal purpose. So we have started cutting down sandal trees like anything. Automatically from the jungle, sandalwoods are getting down. So whatever biodiversity, whatever the life chains which are dependent on the sandalwoods, those are getting hampered. So automatically all biodiversity is getting depleted. We have started hunting specific animals. Maybe few carnivorous animals for their fur, maybe few animals for the food, but we have started hunting a specific kind of animals like anything. So due to this cutting of the trees, hunting the animals, all the biodiversity is going down day by day. Another reason, we have started constructing huge dams on the rivers. We have started constructing huge industries. We have started constructing huge roads. For that, we need a space, right? We need a land. So we are clearing all that land. We are doing deforestation. So all together, in the same time, we are actually creating that land virgin. It was very much rich in biodiversity. It had its own flora and fauna. It had the very much diversity in plants. So automatically, all the life chains which were dependent on those different kind of plants were present over there. But we have cleared that land. Now we have lost biodiversity in this area.
Choose the right kindergarten, a right bag, and matching bottle to go with. The right school, the right friends. Choose the right subjects and score well. Be an expert in all. The right teacher, and make sure that they like you. Choose the right timing, the right bus, and take a cab if getting late. The right train, and don't stand near the gates. Mind the pockets. Better get into ladies' compartment. Make sure your mustache hasn't started coming. Choose the right study time and forget games, IPL, IHL, rock and metal, guitar, X. The right group and be a model to your brother. Seriously. Choose the right syllabus, the right test paper. Keep guessing questions for exams. Choose the right branch, the right college, the right stream. Choose the right career. Lucky to have a father's business to take care of and a father to allow that. The right counselor, the right form, and make sure the project is submitted on time. Choose the right website and rely on your friends for more information. Oblivious of the sites they have been to, there is no end to your woes. Getting better with every step you climb up the ladder. The summer vacation shorter, the bucket list bigger. The night darker, the books heavier. The only light you have is your friends ahead of you. Probably he is right. Ever thought how he got the direction? No more spending your energy and money on coaching classes. No more missing classes for rain, rally, and nonsense. Get your interest back in subjects through our creative ways of teaching. Doubts, concepts, applications, all explained through one vibrant animation. Subjects covered by multiple teachers with repeat telecasts. Special programs only for basic foundation and paper analysis. Personality development, career counseling, admissions, hobbies, all covered. A new approach to study with long-term perspective. So sit back comfortably in your homes and watch Study Spectrum TV channel.
Apart from all these reasons, there is another very important reason, and that is pollution. Due to the increasing human population, we have started huge industries. We have started using private vehicles in much more number what we used to do in our past. So there is a huge pollution. There is a air pollution, there is a water pollution, there is a soil pollution. So this pollution is hampering a natural lifestyle of all the plants, all the animals, and this pollution has become a huge reason for depletion of the huge biodiversity. Due to the air pollution, what is happening? We all know there is a huge crisis we are facing nowadays, and that is called as a global warming. There is a huge air pollution, there is much more carbon dioxide trapped in our atmosphere, and due to that carbon dioxide, there is heat trapped in our atmosphere. There is a huge warm blanket around our earth, and the temperature is growing day by day. This is a global crisis. Because of this changes in the temperature, there are many sensitive species of the animals and plants, those which can survive in only peculiar temperatures, peculiar criteria. Those are getting extinct. The day by day temperature is growing, day by day pollution is growing, so automatically many species in the animals, many species in the kingdom plants are getting extinct. They are getting reduced in the number. Many of the species on the verge of extinction, and many of the species have already extincted. We have lost them forever. So these are the reasons why this biodiversity is going down day by day. How to protect from it? How to conserve our biodiversity? What are the options do we have? How we can save this biodiversity from getting depleted day by day? There is a law by government through which there is a security for wildlife. Through this law, we are protecting the species we are on the verge of extinction. There are another ways also. Creating the natural parks and sanctuaries, that is the one way to protect this biodiversity. In Mumbai, we have a huge national park which we called as Rajiv Gandhi National Park. Such parks throughout the India, we have many such parks, and we have many sanctuaries also. We have bird sanctuaries, we have tiger sanctuaries. In those sanctuaries, there is a protection for each and every plant and animal. That is unadulterated natural habitat. That is the one way we can protect some of the biodiversity at least. There are the other ways also. A special project to nurture a specific species. For example, we have a tiger project at Tadoba in Maharashtra. What we do in that? In Tadoba, we have a forest which has been protected, given protection, and where only specific concentration is for the tiger species. We are trying to nurture the species of tigers, and we are trying to increase the number of the tigers alive, because we are short of tigers in India. Very short number of tigers have been left nowadays. So this is how we can create and nurture a specific species via project. That is the one way we can protect our biodiversity. Apart from that, there are different botanical and zoological parks, gardens, where we can protect some of the different species. We can cultivate them. Whatever species are on the verge of extinction, we can bring those species. We can cultivate them over there. In case of plants, in case of animals also. We can cultivate them in those botanical or zoological parks. We can nurture those species, and we can make them stronger day by day so that they will survive the atmospherical changes which are happening due to pollution and rise in temperature. So these are the few ways how we can protect our biodiversity, because biodiversity itself is very much important for existence of the life on this earth. We have seen this. Also, we are using a science. We are taking a huge help from the science to help this biodiversity. How? There is a stream of science for our help which is called as a biotechnology. Now we all know what is biotechnology, right? We are making some experiments with the genetics of the plants, of the animals. We are making some crossbreeding. We are making a new species. We are trying to merge the characteristics of 2-3 different species and create the species which will exhibit the superior characteristics which will actually protect this biodiversity. So using this biotechnology, what we are doing, we are actually crossing the different species. For example, there are some local species of the plants as well as animals. Those local breeds have actually superior qualities. They have the qualities to survive that peculiar environment. They have the qualities to overcome all the adversities, all the natural adversities those happen to that climate. But due to the increase in population, we are losing those local breeds, right? So what we can do is, we can cross these local breeds with the imported breeds and we can start creating the new breeds which will exhibit the way superior qualities, which will be having all these characteristics to survive in adversities and that local environment. So using this biotechnology in plants as well as animals, we are trying to protect this biodiversity. Also, there are seed banks. There are seed banks, there are gene banks. What these banks do? We already know banks have the money in it. We save, we accumulate and we nurture the money in the banks. So when we call about the seed banks, obviously the seed banks accumulate different kind of seeds. They nurture them over. They make some experiments with those and we protect those so that we can protect some of the species in the plants. Same thing happens with the gene banks. We are creating the gene banks for different kind of species of animals and plants. We are protecting those genes and with the help of biotechnology, we are trying to utilize those genes to create way superior species of those plants or those animals. And we are planning to protect our biodiversity. There are reserved biodiversity zones as well. What are these zones? Reserved biodiversity zones. Actually, those are the geographical areas. Those are the zones where all the wildlife and the forest life is given the protection. But the local human population, they have their life as it is. They do not have any restriction. It's not like a sanctuary where we cannot actually habitat. Human beings cannot live there. It's not like that. There are the zones where there is a rich biodiversity. There is a human civilization as well. But we found a huge biodiversity in flora and fauna as well. So those are the reserved biodiversity zones where the human lives are as it is. But we have given protection to all wild animals, all wildlife, including animals, including plants, we have given the protection. Let me give you an insight of some treaties which have come into existence due to the need of preserving our biodiversity. I think in 1975, this treaty for giving the protection for all the wild species which are on the verge of extinction, that came into the place. Due to that treaty, all these programs have started through which we are trying to conserve these species which are on the verge of the extinction. In 1992, there was an Earth Summit at Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. There, this treaty came into existence through which there is a protection for biodiversity zones. So due to these treaties, throughout the world, at least few programs have started through which we can conserve our biodiversity. So, let me summarize what we have discussed in all this biodiversity chapter is. What is the biodiversity? The huge variety we found in the living things existing on this earth is biodiversity. What are the factors, causative factors for this biodiversity? environment, nature, geographical biodiversity, different habitats, they themselves scatter a basic cause for this biodiversity. Due to the different environments, there is a huge biodiversity. There is the variety in shapes, sizes of the body parts, body systems, the systems through which chromosomes are inherited, transformed from one generation to another generation. There is a variety in habitats, there is the variety in the food habits, eating habits. So all this variety we found in the living world is called biodiversity. And this biodiversity is very much important for the existence of living things itself. There is a natural cycle of the life through which producers, means plants, are dependent on the micronutrients those are available in the soil. Herbivorous animals are dependent on these plants. Carnivorous animals are dependent on these herbivorous animals. And microorganisms which actually bring about all this decomposition of the dead bodies of carnivorous animals, herbivorous animals, plants, those are actually dependent on all these carnivorous, herbivorous animals and plants. Now, due to those microorganisms, again these bodies are biodegraded and all the micronutrients are released back in the soil. So again the producer, the plants, are dependent on those micronutrients. So this is the life cycle of the nature, and this life cycle is very much dependent on this biodiversity. If there is a single element in this food chain, or let's say a biodiversity, if a single element is missing, automatically the second element is hampered. If there is no prey, predators cannot survive. They will die of starvation. So we are interconnected, we are interdependent. This is how the beautiful arrangement of the nature is. But nowadays, this biodiversity is depleting day by day. The basic causative factor is exponential growth of human population, due to which there is a single crop farming going on everywhere around. There are hybrids and imported breeds which are replacing our local breeds. For the need of all this human population and rather greed, we are killing specific peculiar plants and animals. We are hunting those animals, we are cutting down those trees more and more. Also, we have constructed huge dams, huge roads, huge industries. For that, we are cutting the trees like anything. There is a huge deforestation, and because of that, there are the loss of huge biodiversity rich flora and fauna. Also, due to the human population increased in the number, there is the pollution. Due to the pollution, there is an increase of temperature, and that's why there are many sensitive species which can dwell in only specific set of criteria of the environment. Those are on the verge of extinction. Few of the species have extincted already. How we are trying to conserve our biodiversity? There are the laws through which there is a protection for wildlife. We are creating botanical and zoological parks. We are creating the sanctuaries. There are rich in biodiversity zones also which are given proper protection. Apart from that, we are having seed banks, we are having gene banks, and there is a biotechnology for our health. Using that biotechnology, we are trying to cross all the different species so that we can create some species which are superior in the qualities and which can survive these changes in the climate, these changes in the temperature and environment. So this was all about the biodiversity, friends. Let's go through question and answers one by one. The first question is, write answer to the following questions. First, what is meant by biodiversity? We have already seen the huge variety we see in the living things existing on this earth is called as a biodiversity. Second, what is the importance of biodiversity? If we're gonna talk about the importance of biodiversity, I would say biodiversity itself is a very own reason for existence of the life. Because due to the biodiversity only, all the living things in this earth are protected. Whatever the needs are there for the food, for the shelter, those are filled due to the biodiversity. And there is a nature cycle of life which are interdependent, intercorrelated. So due to the biodiversity only, there is the existence of life. This is the importance of biodiversity. Next question, in which respect do living things differ? There is a huge list in respect of their body sizes, in respect of the body shapes, in respect to body parts, body systems, the systems through which chromosomes are transferred from one generation to another generation, in respect to their habitats where they dwell, in respect of their eating habits, in respect of all these things, living things differ from each other, and that is what we call as a biodiversity. Let's go to the next question. What are the different reasons for reduction in biodiversity? Why biodiversity is reducing? We have already discussed about those. Main reason is increase in human population. Due to the increase in human population, we are doing single crop farming rather than multi-crop farming. We are replacing our local breeds of animals via hybrid or imported breeds. Also, we are cutting down specific trees more and more for our peculiar use. We are hunting the specific animals for the fur or for our greeds or maybe our food. Also, due to the increase in human population, we have created the industries, we have constructed the huge roads, huge dams, and for that construction we are cutting down the trees, we are cutting down the forest. Due to this deforestation also there is huge reduction in biodiversity because all those forests are very rich in biodiversity. Due to the increase in human population, industries have increased, so pollution is increasing day by day. Due to the increase in pollution, there is an increase in temperature. And due to these changes in the climate, there are few sensitive species we are getting extinct, which cannot adjust with the environment. So these are the reasons why biodiversity is decreasing day by day. Let's go to the next question. List the various efforts being made to protect the extinct species or the species which are on the verge of extinction. What are the aids we are doing? What are the steps we are taking to protect this extinction verge on species? We are creating botanical and zoological gardens, we are making the parks, we are making sanctuaries. By law, we are giving the protection to all the wildlife we have in that sanctuaries or in those parks. We are cultivating different kind of species which are on the verge of extinction in the botanical gardens, in the zoological parks. We are having seed banks and gene banks, and using the biotechnology we are trying to cross the local breeds which have actually superior qualities to survive in all the climate adversities or whatever climate is there in the local area. We are trying to cross those characteristics with the new animals so that those will be superior and those will survive the changes. So these are the things we are trying to do to protect our biodiversity. Let's go to the next question. Give reasons. First, it is very important to preserve the prey-predator chain. We have already seen it. Let's take an example of a lion and its all the prey in the jungle. There is a chain of predator and prey. Obviously, by its own nature itself, lions or tigers, the predators, are hunting down this prey, right? So they are already making them vanish. But if suppose all these preys have already vanished from their local habitats, what would happen with the predators? What would happen with the tigers and lions? Those cannot survive. They will die of starvation. So, in predator-prey chain, each and every element is important because those are interconnected, interrelated. That is the importance of predator-prey chain. Second, the single crop method can prove harmful. There used to be multi-crop farming few years back. Now it's giving its way to the single crop farming. Due to the single crop farming, there is a depletion in biodiversity. We are creating only food grains of a single type. So automatically, whatever life cycles of maybe microorganisms, of maybe animals, or maybe of a different plants, which is dependent on those all multi-crop system, is getting affected due to the single crop. There is a depletion in biodiversity in the farming zone itself. So that may prove harmful. Let's go to the next question. Write notes. First, importance of the environment. Environment has its own important role in exhibiting the biodiversity in the living world. Let's take an example of a single geographical area. In that geographical area, environment changes place to place. Even environment changes in due course of time. And due to the changes in this environment, there have been different species of plants and animals which has evolved in the same geographical area. And when we talk about the different kind of species of plants and animals which exhibit the variety in many aspects in their life in the same geographical area, we call it as a biodiversity rich zone. Due to this biodiversity rich zones, there is the existence of life. So this is the importance of environment. Environment is a basic causative factor. It has created all this biodiversity. Next, reserved biodiversity zones. What are these reserved biodiversity zones? These are the geographical zones in which there is a rich biodiversity. And now these zones have been reserved to protect this biodiversity. In this zone, there is a human life as well. Those lives are not hampered. Those lives are as it is. But all the wildlife, all the flora and fauna has been given protection. That is called as a reserved biodiversity zones. And that is a very important step in conserving our biodiversity. Next, biotechnology. We all know what is biotechnology. It is a fusion of science and biology. Scientific techniques which have enabled us to do some experiments with the genetics. That technology, when utilized for the conservation of the biodiversity, when it is utilized for betterment of the different species of plants and animals, that is called as a biotechnology. With the help of biotechnology, what we are trying to do is, there are the local species which exhibit the characters through which they can survive all the adversities in that climate. Those have the superior characters. Imported species or imported breeds do not exhibit that characters. So we are trying to cross these two species to create a species which is way superior, which can survive all the climatic changes, all the adversities in that environment. With the help of this biotechnology, we are trying to protect some of the species which are on the verge of extinction. We are making the gene banks through which we are protecting all the sets of those chromosomes, all the sets of those genes which have the information about all those species which are on the verge of extinction. Through these gene banks, we are making many experiments through the biotechnology to create some new species, in turn which will help us to conserve our biodiversity. So this was all about the question and answer, friends. I hope our discussion have helped you understand this biodiversity in a deeper sense. It has given you a different perspective looking at our environment. Keep studying, have fun, and stay tuned to Study Spectrum. Thank you very much.